Tell me something you guys would laugh about.
Okay, I remember this one time we went to this Japanese restaurant and it was this couple sitting there with this cute little baby girl just a few tables over.
And this waiter was just trying to be playful, but out of nowhere, he gets into the baby's face and he's like,
He scared the hell out of that poor baby. Me and Charlie laughed so hard that this old lady sitting next to us, she leans in and tells us, "You two shouldn't have any children."
The concept of this piece is great. The dialogue in this is funny. You're hearing each of their POV. It takes race on different political issues and it flips it completely on its head. It represents the various sides of life, the left versus right. Very smart comedy. And then we're meant to take away from this that our political affiliations should not divide us. And in most of these pieces, they come together and find a common enemy in the therapist. Um, Part two, it takes the vaccine issue, anti-vax versus pro-vax, and I like how they flash the actual fight that they had. And I like how clear their point of view was. Each represents one side of the argument, and these are all arguments that we've heard so often that it's nice to make light of them because usually they evoke anything but laughter. This whole piece breaks down the idea of tribalism and expresses and it teaches it's okay to disagree. And I love when they put the doctor on the spot, the close up of the arguments and the doctor's responses with all the epic music in the background. That was also a really funny device that they used throughout.
The piece ended up working well because they had a really strong sense of that sort of component of people explaining a story a certain way. It might not be the way another person sees it, and sort of the arbiter in those dynamics. So I thought the audience and the therapist ended up becoming sort of the same person, which I thought made the piece interactive and interesting to get into. I thought it had a good sense of self-awareness about that central conceit that allowed it to be funny when they were reflecting stories about things that had gone on or the type of problems they were having. And I thought that the piece in general felt running and realistic, mainly because the acting style and the dynamics between the actors on screen. I thought almost all the actors, especially even though I know there was like a woman, some other characters who didn't get as much play as a central couple, that they all sort of contributed well to, I thought, the general comedic approach to the piece and the sort of deconstruction of your own personality and your own approach to your life and relationships in a way that I thought was consistently funny.
Just thought you guys had a great pacing to it, great editing, great casting, because the performances were really great. The lead male was really good at carrying this. Actually, both the therapist and the lead male I thought were really strong to be able to carry this throughout. All of the actors were really great too. I love when the line "Snuffleupagus," who's Snuffa who? Because of the age difference too. I didn't think of that at first but Snuffleupagus, just the name is hilarious. Like I know who that is, so it's like the character, and then because of their age difference too, it was even more funny because she's like, who? But it was also a great way to throw in these important messages that really need to be heard. I think all of society and humanity needs to hear these messages, but it was a fun way to do it because with the political stuff in the COVID, and it really did affect a lot of people, myself included, as far as hearing your family and friends' points of views on things that, are so personal. I just thought these serious issues were dealt with very well with humor because that's what we do. We deal with it in humor. And it's unfortunate that a lot of comedians now are having issues with that because that's what we go to, right? We go to humor, but now comedians are afraid to say certain things. So I just thought you guys did a great job because you had to kind of walk that line of, are we going to offend somebody by just putting this out there?
So we're doing a satire on relationships. We're doing a satire on therapy, and most of all, we're doing a satire on hot button issues. And bravo to you for taking that on because that's tough. But yeah, you got people on both sides of all these issues arguing, and it was very funny. And the therapist was always, at the end of each segment, always made a good point about how social media and news and all this wrecking relationships. And I think that was the overall meaning of this piece. And it was a good point made, and a good point made in a funny way. I love the interactions. The actors all did a great job. The relationships between the guy and his girlfriends, and between the therapist, and that last act, we had him and the therapist really button heads over the phone trying to make it work. So their relationship needed some working out too.
Politics will always be in our lives. I think this film should be shown on a national scale because it kind of hits the point on both sides of the aisle quite well on how both sides think the other side's brainwashed, because we really just don't want to think that people are allowed to have different opinions. This film hit everything flat on, from politics to the COVID vaccine, to this guy even going through his past relationships, little things breaking it up because we have this idea that we have to agree with everybody.